Good evening. I'm Spot On Weather meteorologist Matthew Euler, and tonight's presentation is titled Beware the Ides of March. Going back to a little bit of some English literature, anybody out there likes Julius Caesar? Really, I'm referring to the Ides of March tonight in that winter is not over yet. So, we can't necessarily discount the possibility of future storms, future wintry weather across the mid-Atlantic, and hence the title, Beware the Ides of March. So let's get right in. I kind of hint at some of the ideas that we're looking at here, not only in the short term, but in the long range as well. All right, so the first things first, we're going to start off, and by the way, all the images in tonight's video presentation are courtesy of Tropical Tidbits, tropicaltidbits.com for the graphics, and I will be taking you through a lot of these images tonight, courtesy of Tropical Tidbits. All right, so we're going to start things off and look at the initial image here. This is the forecast for tomorrow morning, Wednesday, the 20th of February, 2019. And we're going to start off with a bit of wintry weather across the mid-Atlantic region. And there's even a possibility of some snowflakes mixing in with some rain. We just haven't had much in the Hampton Roads, Virginia area this year for winter weather. So that's why I get really excited about it, the fact that we might actually have a couple snowflakes mixed in with the rain. But anyway, we're looking at a brief mix of rain and snow across the mid-Atlantic region. The further north you go, it'll be more of a snow to start. But for the Hampton Roads city, it's going to be a brief mix of rain and snow during the early morning hours tomorrow on Wednesday, the 20th of February. And we're not expecting any major snow accumulations. To get any kind of snow accumulations, you have to head up towards Washington, D.C., as they're expecting 3 to 6 inches of snow. But down around the Hampton Roads cities, we're looking at a mix of rain and snow. If anything tried to accumulate, if there was a quick burst of wet snow at the onset of the precipitation, then we'd expect less than 1 inch of snow on grassy surfaces, on cars. The roads could still be a little bit slick in the morning because the temperatures, I just took a look at the temperature forecast, not expecting to really get warmer than 35 degrees. The warmest I got is 35 degrees about 8 a.m. tomorrow morning. So even as the wintry precip changes more to rain, it still could be slick in some spots tomorrow morning across the Hampton Roads cities. But we do expect that transition over to rain in most areas by late morning as the temperatures and the thickness levels rise above the critical, we call critical levels, what we're looking at on the rain and snow, the thickness values that determines rain versus snow. In general, the image on the left shows just a major swath of moisture coming up from the Gulf of Mexico. There's a lot of rain. There's a lot of flood threat, actually, with this system out towards Mississippi, into Tennessee, into Kentucky. There's a lot of heavy rain potential back that way. And then there's some snow on the northern edge of this particular system. Again, in the Mid-Atlantic region, we're starting out as a mix of rain and snow. Some areas to the north, Richmond, Virginia north, will see snow at the onset tomorrow morning. So traffic and rush hour in the morning is going to be really tricky with snow-covered roads up in that area. All right, moving on now to the 21st of February. This would be Thursday, 21 February. What we're looking at is the storm system, 1,001 millibar low, is now situated over eastern Canada. There is still a lingering moisture shield situated from the Louisiana area up through the mid-Atlantic. And there is, you notice the rain gets all the way up into Boston, up into New York State. So the whole slug of moisture from this image tomorrow morning, the 20th, 24 hours later after the 20th to the 21st, there is a huge swath of warm air, southwesterly winds, really push those thickness values up to higher levels, and the rain goes much further north. A lot of places will start as that snow, but they'll be transitioning over to rain with time as warm air advection moves in. We do have colder air and dry conditions out over the northern plains, back into the upper Midwest for the Thursday, the 21st of February. There is a little bit of unsettled weather again out west into Southern California. They have had just a crazy, crazy February time period with that permanent, that trough, that persistent trough, the upper air trough situated in the western U.S. with storm after storm coming in out there. So we do expect a big bump up in temperatures across the mid-Atlantic on Thursday the 21st. Strong southwesterly winds. There is a frontal boundary back to the northwest of the mid-Atlantic over the midwestern U.S. on Thursday, but just a lot of southwesterly winds and warm air all the way up into New England by Thursday. We do expect some scattered showers or periods of light rain on Thursday with those milder southwest winds. The next cold frontal passage and the wind shift we're expecting to occur overnight, really close to overnight hours on Thursday, this Thursday the 21st of February. Moving ahead now to Friday the 22nd of February 2019 to end the work week, we do have more of a east-west elongation of the thickness values here on the image. So we really don't have a major push of cold like we do now with this particular setup. With this particular situation where we had a stronger 1040 millibar plus Arctic high kind of sagging in from the northeast, building down into the mid-Atlantic. Don't have that kind of cold coming for Friday the 22nd. We do expect a cool down. We could have temperatures in the mid to upper 60s on Thursday the 21st across the mid-Atlantic, dropping about 10 degrees, about 10 degrees at the most on Friday for highs, into the upper 40s and lower 50s on Friday the 22nd. It will remain dry. Most of the moisture is going to remain to the south over the Texas area, Arkansas, into Tennessee, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, and just down into South Carolina, just south of the mid-Atlantic. 1033 millibar high, situated over northeast Ohio. Again, bringing some cooler air in on its front side. That rain, though, back in the southeast I just mentioned, that's going to be the next rainmaker for Saturday across the mid-Atlantic as disturbance after disturbance has moved along stationary frontal boundary over the last 5 days or so. Now, moving ahead to Saturday, making any weekend plans this weekend? Well, we do have some wet weather back in the forecast. For Saturday, the 23rd of February, 2019, a new area of low pressure. There's a 995 millibar low situated over eastern Kansas by Saturday afternoon. A new storm system is strengthening out into the central U.S., but there's going to be a shield of moisture out ahead of that, some rain extending from southern Missouri straight due east across Kentucky, Tennessee, South Carolina, a little bit into North Carolina, and then more into Virginia. So the stalled frontal boundary is hanging out, nothing really strong to kind of push it south, so you get these waves of low pressure to develop, this waves of moisture that develop over time. That system over the Midwest, that area of low pressure, pretty intense at 995 millibars. It's fairly low pressure. Now let's move ahead to looking at Sunday, the 24th of February, 2019. So if you have those weekend plans this weekend across the Mid-Atlantic, across Southeast Virginia, your better day of the two will be Sunday, the 24th of February, as the system that was situated over Kansas, as now area of low pressure is now raised to the northeast over Lake Huron. And there's a lot of snow up over the upper Midwest. There's a lot of wind associated with this particular storm system across the central U.S. If you're heading west from the East Coast, you are looking at encountering a lot of wind as this low pressure area in the storm system really gets wound tightly. So you got a lot of tight packing of the darker lines on the image, the isobars or lines of equal pressure. So there's going to be a lot of wind over Iowa, Missouri, Illinois, into Arkansas. On the backside of the system, you could be looking at near blizzard conditions all the way up into the upper Midwest, western Iowa into Minnesota, up into Wisconsin. There's going to be a lot of wind associated with that falling snow. So just want to give everybody a heads up if you have travel plans out towards from the East Coast to the Midwest over the upcoming weekend. But as far as Southeast Virginia, Sunday looks like the better of the 2 days. Cold front moves through the Mid-Atlantic. We have drier air building in. What we're looking at is a strong surge of southwesterly winds before that cold front moves through the area. So we're expecting some strong southwesterly winds again. This is most likely going to bump the temperatures up into the lower 70s on Sunday across Virginia. So get ready because we're going to have a day of summer again, or at least a day of late spring. into the area by this Sunday. A cold front will approach from the northwest and move through overnight into Monday morning. So the cold front actually won't make it through southeast Virginia and the mid-Atlantic until overnight Sunday night into early Monday morning. So we're expecting a very warm day and dry conditions to prevail for Sunday the 24th of February. Moving ahead now to Monday the 25th of February. The situation, the cold front has now moved through the area. Now we're starting to see a little bit more of an appreciable cool down. We're starting to set things up for a pattern change starting the 25th of February next Monday. And I'll show you more here in some images in the long range. But we're looking at a general shift of the cold air and the upper air trough. It's eventually going to shift further east, first impacting the Midwest, then working its way all the way to the East Coast. There's going to be some strong 1030 millibar plus high pressure systems, which are going to come down out of Canada and just kind of graze the northern U.S. up from the Great Lakes area into New England. So what these high pressure systems are going to do, they're going to bring continually reinforcing shots of colder air all the way down the East Coast. And we're looking at very dry conditions for Monday, the 25th of February, no problem. We have a 1034 millibar high at this time, situated on the North Dakota-Minnesota border. And on the front side of high pressure systems in the northern hemisphere, you have northerly winds, a clockwise flow around those highs. So we are expecting a cool down next Monday, the 25th of February. Now, like I said, beware the Ides of March. We do have a cold weather pattern. It's looking like we're shifting to a colder weather pattern in early March. Really starts the last couple days of February, and then it rolls right into the beginning of March. Looking at these images, the blue dashed lines are your colder temperatures, okay? Lower thickness values equate to lower air temperatures. So what we're looking at is colder temperatures. We see those blue H's on both images. See those blue H's, 1033 millibars, 1037 millibars. The image on the left is 1038 millibars over eastern Montana. Those are cold Canadian high pressure systems, and they're going to basically from the last couple days of February into the first week of March, those cold high pressure systems are going to bring reinforcing shots of colder air across the northern plains, upper Midwest, and the eastern U.S. as a whole, from the New England down to the mid-Atlantic. With those cold reinforcing highs in the north, there are some southern pieces of energy that may develop underneath the highs. And so the image on the left shows the morning of Saturday, March 2nd, looking pretty cold across the mid-Atlantic, across the eastern U.S. as a whole, as the upper air trough finally, we get an upper level high or ridge to build to Alaska. So we're going to expect more of a troughing pattern across the eastern U.S. and a cooler temperature regime setting up. We got a lot of low pressure systems that are going to be riding underneath these cold Canadian highs, which could spell some wintry weather across the mid-Atlantic up into New England. So let's keep moving forward here. Image on the left, the 2nd of March. Image on the right, the morning of the 3rd of March. That's Sunday the 3rd. This is the first weekend of March. Now moving ahead. Now, there's potential, and GEFS keeps hinting on this, as well as some of the other models. There is the potential with this colder pattern to get a really good, significant storm up the East Coast. Now, we have not seen this pretty much all winter. There has been a significant absence of coastal low pressure systems moving up the East Coast. We just haven't seen the typical nor'easters. All right. These two images are longer range. We're looking at 4 to 5 March time period on these images. The image on the left shows 1007 millibar low over northeast Georgia developing. A huge swath of moisture. The blue shading indicates the snow. The green indicates the rain. So you can see this kind of setup. This system intensifies as it goes up the coast. Got a nice strong, on the image on the right, there's a nice strong 1043 millibar high. That's Arctic air, 1040 millibar plus high pressure systems coming down from Canada. Now, since we're heading into early March, we're going to have a stronger sun angle. We're going to have stronger solar radiation. So these thickness values won't equate to the same temperature they did back in December or January, because the sun is getting higher in the sky. The days are getting longer, the daylight hours are getting longer, so there's greater potential for the sun to offset and modify the air masses as they move southeast from Canada. But this, you get a cold enough system, and I'm going to show you some examples before we wrap this video up tonight. There are examples out there of March snowstorms across the mid-Atlantic. So I would not consider winter to be over just yet. I know there's a lot of disappointed people across the mid-Atlantic and up into New England because it's just not been a very big snow season this year for the winter. But don't be dismayed. There's still potential out there. Where there's cold, there is hope. So let's take a look now. We're moving forward to just behind the storm system. So this was the possible potential storm. And then behind that storm, we have very cold air that's moving in. Image on the left showing a 1044 millibar high over northern Iowa. Clockwise flow around those highs, and look at those thickness values crash. Behind that departing storm, which is up into the Canadian Maritimes by this point, strong northerly winds that's really going to result. A stronger wind gradient, a stronger pressure gradient yields greater winds. Could yield some very cold temperatures, below normal temperatures, somewhere in the first week of March. Now keep in mind, way too early to pinpoint the specific details. These model runs have not been very consistent throughout the winter. I mentioned that in a previous video, but this is just showing, I'm looking at these models. I'm not just looking at the GFS. Tonight I'm showing you GFS, but I'm looking at the Canadian, I'm looking at the European, I'm looking at the long-range models and seeing if there's any sort of pattern agreement here, and it looks that way as of right now. Models are trending, pushing the upper level trough. They're trending colder in the east as that trough shifts to the east. Here are examples, the GFS ensembles on the left. Okay, it's a 16-day panel, and also a 16-day panel on the right for the GEFS, Global Ensemble Forecasting System. Purple shading on these images generally indicate below normal temperatures. Okay, so initially the image on the left, 16 little panel, little windows, showing the ridge, fairly strong still. We've been talking about the southeast ridge in last week's video. That ridge, the reddish colors, very, very much all over the eastern U.S., above normal temperatures. We do have a cool down right now, but we're going to expect temperatures again Thursday this week and then again Sunday this week. We expect temperatures to bump right back up again on strong southwesterly winds out ahead of cold frontal systems, cold frontal passages. But if you look at the bottom images there on the left, the very bottom left, the four at the bottom there, see the purple shading? That's the core of the coldest air that's below normal temperature shifting first into the upper Midwest, eventually shifting to the East Coast, Northeast and the Mid-Atlantic included. The panel on the right, the Global Ensemble Forecasting System, again shows a shift of those reddish above normal temperatures getting pushed off the coast. The southeast ridge breaks down, and you get these below normal temperatures to come in. The Climate Prediction Center is starting to show this in their longer range outlooks as well. I've been paying attention to that. All right. European mean and control longer range forecast. So let's take a look at the European. Let's see if that agrees with the GFS and the Global Ensemble Forecasting Systems ensembles, the GEFS. But let's see if they agree. Well, what do you know? Look at this. Image on the left, see the blue H there? That's a strong upper level ridge that's nosing its way upward into Alaska with upper level height rises. Downstream of upper level height rises, you get the long wave trough. Okay, you get that trough to deepen further downstream. All right, what goes up must come down. So the higher the ridge builds, the deeper the trough gets downstream. All right, so the image on the left shows you the European ensemble forecasting system. The blue shadings indicate below normal upper level heights, and those are associated with below normal temperatures. The maroon colors indicate above normal heights, which is associated with above normal temperatures. See where the red L is on the image on the left over Hudson Bay again. So the strong upper level low is back over Hudson Bay. Right. Image on the right shows the European control, which is even more amplified with the trough and deeper with it. The greenish colors indicate very much below normal upper level heights. You see, again, there's an upper level ridge out over Alaska. So the conditions are looking favorable. The models are showing it. Shift of the cold from the west towards the east, especially we get to the last couple days of February into the first week of March. That's the time we're targeting for this pattern change. All right, and I wanted to kind of just go over this one more time. Past March snowstorms from the mid-Atlantic. This can happen still. All right, so winter is not over yet. We look at this past history. The image on the left showing you a NOAA snowfall accumulation map for a storm back from March 1st to the 3rd of 2009. 4 to 10 inches in the white shading back over Richmond into all the way down into North Carolina and then up the coast in New Jersey, Maryland, DC is included, New Jersey up into New England. All right. Image on the right shows another storm system, March 12th to 14th, 1993. Now that storm was the storm of the century. March 12th to the 14th, 1993. Those blue shadings over the mountainous areas, yeah, that was quite a storm. I don't have a image to show you the surface map, but the isobars were packed so close together. This was an all-out blizzard up the eastern U.S., all the way up the Appalachian Mountains. But you do notice there's snow knocking on the door of Hampton Roads in this particular system, and you move further back west. Those blue shadings indicate 10 to 20 inches of snow, the lighter blue. The darker blue shadings indicate 20 to 30 inches of snow. Look all the way down to the far south, the bottom of this image, the far deep south. 4 to 10 inches of snow fell in southern Alabama, also into southeastern Mississippi. So it was a deep south snowstorm, and this is what can happen. You get these really tightly wound nor'easter type storm systems that can still go up the coast in March. Another example, March 2nd to 5th, 1960, a good 4 to 10 inches of snow for quite a large area, including Hampton Roads, all the way down into North Carolina up to DC. The lighter blue shading again indicating 10 to 20 inches of snow that fell, and the darker blue shading up towards eastern Massachusetts got 20 to 30 inches of snow back in March 2nd to the 5th, 1960. March 4th to the 9th, 2013, the image on the right, there's some more snow. This happened to come out of the Midwestern U.S., that white shading there indicating 4 to 10 inch swath of snow across Minnesota, eastern Iowa, northern Illinois, into Indiana and Ohio. And there's another bullseye of heavier snow across the mid-Atlantic up into northern Virginia. That darker blue shading, that lighter blue shading there indicates 10 to 20 inches of snow back towards Winchester, up towards northwestern Virginia. So it can happen. It can happen. All right. March systems we can still get some strong nor'easter type storms. We can still get that cold air Arctic air being drugged down on the backside. Here are my final thoughts for the video. Well, we're expecting an AM wintry mix across Hampton Roads cities tomorrow, Wednesday morning, the 20th of February. Will happen prior to sunrise, most likely, the way it looks right now. Most of the mix of rain, snow, and sleet will happen prior to the time everybody gets up in the morning to go to work. But with the temperature still hovering in the lower 30s, we really don't see any appreciable jump in temperatures until early afternoon when it's definitely all rain. There could be some slick spots on the roads tomorrow morning. But we are not expecting significant accumulations. Everything is going to change over to rain with rising temperatures and thickness values. Now, there's going to be lots of ups and downs in temperatures over the next 7 days. For example, today our high across southeast Virginia was only about 42 degrees, 43 degrees. By the 24th, this Sunday, this upcoming Sunday, 24 February, we could be up into the 70s for highs again. And then dropping back into the 40s by early March for highs. So again, we're looking at possible 30-degree temperature swings. A lot of up and downs in the temperatures, especially over the next 7 days. We expect more sustained cold in early March, especially the first week of March. I'd say the 27th, 28th of February, right on through about the 5th, the 6th of March. So we're expecting some more sustained cold. And what I mean by cold, I'm talking about temperatures highs in the 40s across southeast Virginia. It's going to be colder the further north you get. But that's pretty impressive considering that you have, again, increasing solar radiation. you have a higher sun angle. So we are expecting that sustained cold to take place in early March, basically from the 27th of Feb, 28th Feb to 5 March. As the weather pattern changes with a trough in the eastern U.S. and a ridge over Alaska. So again, we're expecting below normal highs into the 40s with lows down into the 30s across the mid-Atlantic. And there is a potential for a big East Coast storm between the 3rd and the 6th of March. And this has been hinted at by multiple models, but it's way too early to detail the specifics of this. Now, I do want to make note, and I didn't put it in the graphics tonight in the video, but the European model is forecasting the 12Z European model from today, the 12Z from the 19th of February, is indicating a big-time East Coast storm around next Wednesday, the 27th of February. Again, I like to see some more consistency in the models. GFS is not really showing much of a big storm at that time. The European is going all in on it and taking a very deep and intense low pressure system all the way up the coast. But again, we have to wait to see how the model trends, what happens with those over time. I do expect a lot of changes with those trends in the models. We do see increasing confidence for a pattern change. As I already mentioned about the more sustained cold, anywhere from the 27th of February to the 5th of March. Question is how deep does this trough dig out? All right. How deep does that get? If it gets deeper, then these thickness values will be much lower down the coast. Very good possibility there's going to be a lot of wintry weather if a major storm system develops like I'm showing you right here around the 4th and 5th of March. All right, so how deep does that trough get? And then will the jet stream pattern become more zonal or will it become more amplified with a deeper trough? We know there's been a lot of cold air associated with a deep upper level persistent trough in the western U.S. It's brought surprise snows to places like Seattle. It's brought surprise snows to Las Vegas, not only once, but twice. So we know there's a lot of cold out there. We know there's a lot of cold still sitting in Western Canada. Will we get one big chunk of cold to break off and come down with a huge Arctic high pressure system? Will we get multiple waves or pieces of cold to come down? Those are the questions that I'm really curious about as we go out in time. All right, so we'll have to keep an eye on that. Just wanting to again let everybody know, hey, we looked at past March snowstorms again. These are a possibility, especially the early parts of March for the mid-Atlantic. So winter is not over yet. We see what's happening in the model trends. Colder air is going to shift east. That southeast ridge is finally going to get broke down. And we're going to get these strong cold highs to set up. Come down from Canada and just kind of move across from the upper Midwest to New England. You set the stage with cold air in place. Get these little disturbances. Sometimes these disturbances can become big coastal storms. And boom, you got yourself a good little snowstorm across the mid-Atlantic. So I'm excited that we still have this hope. And like I said, if you're a winter weather fan like me, where there's cold, there's hope. That's all you can cling on to right now is hope. And hopefully we'll get one nice little storm system, one nice little winter storm, especially into Virginia and mid-Atlantic area, Hampton Road cities, before spring arrives. But it is looking colder, as I mentioned. All right, that wraps things up. I want to end this video presentation with two of my favorite things. I'm not sure if you're on board with it or not, but boom. Could there be Shamrock Shakes and Snowflakes in early March? Got an image of a Shamrock Shake. Oh, those things are so good. And I got some snow crystal plates on the right showing the snowflakes. A lot of different snow patterns. Really cool. Hexagonal plates, dendrites. It's all cool. All right, that wraps things up tonight. I thought I'd throw this out there. Hopefully we'll see these two together in early March. We'll get one nice chance at a nice big coastal storm and some wintry weather into Hampton Road cities across the mid-Atlantic. Hopefully where you are, if you love snow, get one more chance of a good system. We'll keep our eye on the models here at Spot On Weather. If anything looks imminent, like it's going to develop, I will be making a special video. All right, I hope everybody has a great Tuesday evening. Stay safe out there tomorrow. Maybe a little slippery in some spots. Not expecting a big system. But maybe we'll see a few flakes. Maybe you'll see a few flakes of snow on your streetlights tonight. That wraps things up. Spot on weather. Remember, if we're not spot on, we're not doing it right. Have a great, great Tuesday evening, everyone.